and welcome to my channel. Today I've got, well, basically you could use this as a tutorial, but you could also just grab your own makeup and do a makeup look and just listen to the video, because this is going to be mostly chatting, because I just really felt like chatting to you all. So yeah, that's basically what we're gonna do. Expect a whole lot of talking and yeah, just grab a snack, grab a drink. I don't know how long this video is going to be. And the end result is just going to be a basic makeup. And yeah, I hope you will enjoy it. So let's get started. As usual, I'm starting off with an eye primer, just the colorless one this time. I basically just want to like chat with you guys and play with makeup, just do a very simple look. And also, I don't want to do a full coverage thing on my face. And I always feel like it looks sort of weird if I then use a full coverage eye primer, so that my eyelids are full coverage and my face isn't. That's always a bit of a mismatch. Gonna start off with just a taupe shade, very pale taupe shade. I'm just using the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette because I really wanted it back in the day and I proceeded to barely ever use it. So I have to. But anyway, yeah, let's just start on the first random subject that I feel like chatting about. Basically I saw a lot of talk on Twitter about obviously the American elections and all. But also that for a lot of girls, Kamala Harris, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, I have no idea, is actually, you know, rather a role model now, because of course she is the first female vice president in America. And that got me thinking, which is absolutely true of course, but that got me thinking indeed, like I never really put much thought into it, but it is indeed important really to have, especially as a child, to have role models who you really, you know, can relate to, like who you feel actually look like you and all, like the same type of people, like people you feel like you could be when you grow up. You know, that sort of thing. And that got me thinking, I actually had role models too as a child. Of course, obviously, we all had probably. And indeed, I did always go for like female role models and more role models that did sort of, you know, basically look like me. You know, people that I could actually, you know, basically relate to. So yeah, that is indeed very true. And in terms of those role models, I'm just switching to a, it's basically more of a shiny than a truly shimmery glittery shade. It's Burnout, in case you have the same palette. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna put it on the eyelid. But anyways, one of my first role models as a child, when I was like 11 or 12 or something. Basically right before in the Netherlands we go from like primary school to high school. Like school systems are different across the world, but it was like 11 or 12, like pre-teen basically. But yeah, my role model back then was actually Captain Janeway from Star Trek Voyager. For those of you who watch my vlogs, yes, that's a series I bought entirely on DVD and I still haven't actually watched all of the episodes. I'm still working on it. But yeah, anyway, actually I have the, as a memo to myself, I have the DVDs on my desk, or at least one of the boxes. But yeah, Captain Janeway. In case you have seen the series as well, I think most 90s kids have seen the series. Like basically what I always really liked about her is like, well, she always knew what to do, but if she didn't know what to do, then I'm just, no wait, actually I'm putting a paler shimmery shade in the inner corner first, and then I'm going to darken up the outer corner a little bit with a darker taupe shade. But anyway, she always seemed to know what to do, and if she didn't, then, you know, she wasn't afraid to, like, actually ask for advice from other people. Like, she was self-assured, yet she wasn't scared. I just almost dropped an eyeliner. She was self-assured, like, she had self-confidence, but at the same time, she wasn't afraid to also admit to not knowing everything. Like, she was willing to learn from others. And I just always saw that as an example, you know, like, yeah, I think she's a good role model. I still think she's a great role model, actually. Just because she was self-assured and she did have a clear view for herself on what she agreed with and what she thought was wrong or right. But she also accepted other people's opinions and, you know, was willing to learn from others. Also, her hair always looked like really cool. So, as a little girl, I also found that pretty important. Moving on to brow bone highlight. I'm just using a matte shade for that. Just going for this eye this time. Let's move it around a little bit. But yeah, in terms of TV, just putting a little bit of taupe shade on my big fluffy blender. That had nothing to do with TV. Other than TV though, yeah, like I think that was my only really TV role model, television role model, because other than that I mostly looked at cartoons. I mostly watched cartoons, and then preferably the ones with anthropomorphic animals. I liked really weird cartoons. I don't think really most people have like SpongeBob as their role model, so you know, you can see where I'm going with it. But I did also look at music as a child. Instead of using foundation, I'm just going to put concealer where I'm a little bit more red. I work today as a postman, so that's basically almost my entire face. I'm just using a cheap concealer by Catrice. But yeah, anyway, in terms of music, it wasn't like I really looked up a lot of like details about certain artists. It was rather like I just basically liked them based on how I thought they seemed to be as a person. But yeah, anyway, basically though, like with music, well, I gotta admit, I'm a child of the 90s. I'm from 1992, but most of the music I liked was significantly older. I don't know, I just always liked older music. So basically, I really looked up to women like Pat Benatar, for example. Just because, like, I never really bothered to look up much about them, admittedly. I want a little bit more concealer. But, I don't know, like they always seemed cool and like self-assured, and they wore really awesome clothes, but they also seemed nice. Which, you know, that combination, you know, like being cool and being self-assured but still being a nice person. That's basically what I guess subconsciously looked for in a role model as a child. Just powdering over the cheap powder that the lid broke off, because let's face it, I'm not actually going anywhere, so why would I waste an expensive powder on my face today? But anyway, but yeah, what I was getting at with that entire story, by the way, was that it did make me realize, even though I didn't really consciously think about it before, that even as a child, you know, without caring about politics, without consciously thinking, I'm a girl, so I should look up female role models. No, I didn't think of that at all, obviously, I was a child. But subconsciously, I still, in fact, did have female role models. Like, subconsciously, I still picked role models that sort of, you know, I felt like I could look like as a grown-up, you know. Okay, admittedly, the hair color is colored, and not natural, but still, you know. So, yeah, basically, it did make me realize, remembering that indeed it is important to have role models that actually look like you. Quickly back to the under eye area. Well, I dumped the brush in my eye and now it was wet. Anyway, and my eyeshadow is wet with my eye liquid. Anyway, but yeah, point being, gross, mildly gross things aside, I just feel like it is sort of a more, like, current theme as well, you know, like it already became more of a current theme, not just with Kamala Harris, but also with like the Black Panther movies, something else entirely from politics to movies, but still. But then again, we also already addressed music and TV shows, so whatever. Because it is in fact indeed, like looking back at my own childhood, yes, it is actually, I realized finally, very important that children do indeed have, you know, role models that actually look like them. So yeah, I think it's good that there's like way more diversity in Hollywood now than there was like a decade or so ago. And yeah, I think there's still, of course, work to be done. But still, I think we're actually with that on the right way. Only downside really is that even here in Europe, there are currently some countries, of course, who are actually taking steps back in development, which is rather annoying and sad. But yeah, let's just not do politics on YouTube. Let's just keep it at, you know, a fun subject. Like, for example, the fact that, yes, I'm filling in my eyebrows way too cool toned. Because I really need to buy a redhead shade, like a ginger shade, in either like one of these felt tip thingies or a regular pencil. Because sometimes, actually quite often, I'm actually just really too lazy to grab a brush and use my brow pomade. Because that's so much of an effort. So I end up using something like this, which is in fact, it's by Catrice. It's their brow definer brush pen long lasting. In whatever order you're supposed to read the words. It's good, but they don't actually seem to sell it in a shade that actually matches my hair. So it doesn't actually look all that perfect on me. But I'm just really too lazy today to actually grab a brush and use my pomade that is actually the right color. I aimed for natural brows. I'm not sure how they became this dark and like drawn on. Let's just ignore that. And just applying a nude pencil on the waterline. I'm doing that quickly, yet for some reason I wanted to say a quick pencil on the waterline, which is a weird thing to say. Just doing a quick eyeliner now, and YOLO, I'm just talking through my eyeliner. At first I didn't want to, because I always feel like I tend to move my face when I talk, and that's not a very bright idea when you're trying to apply an eyeliner. It's a brown eyeliner, by the way, because I'm trying to go for subtle. But anyway, in terms, by the way, of like role models and stuff, like the type of woman that was role model to me when I was a kid. One of those was also Carol Decker from the band Tipo, from hits like China in Your Hand and Secret Garden, in case you also happen to like music from the 80s. I actually saw them live once, like right pre-corona. 2019, September, a little over a year ago now. I was 27 years old and I went to a concert for the first time. And it was Tipo. And it was so cool, like seriously. And it was one of those things, you know, one of those pretty random things really. It was Thursday afternoon. I decided to look up whether or not the band still existed. And they do. And then I decided to look up, oh, do they still actually play live? Not really expecting them to still play live or whatever, at least not in this country. Because they're not Dutch or anything, so yeah, like, I had no idea. And then I realized, okay, they still play live, and they're playing live in the Netherlands, like, tomorrow evening, like, quite close to where I live. Quite close to the city I live in. Like, less than half an hour by car. Okay. So I bought tickets for the next evening, and that's basically how I ended up going to a concert for the very first time. And seriously, in real life, like, she seems just as cool. Like, you know, pretty and like cool and like tough looking, but like in a pretty way, and like, I don't know, like her personality, like, yeah, I mean, admittedly I didn't look up like a complete biography or anything, but just how she comes across, I still think she's really, really, really cool. Moving on to bronzer, by the way, and I really hope that, like, this year, not this year, it's the end of the year, this year isn't really gonna happen anymore, but I really hope that next year we'll be able to, you know, just really go to concerts again. I really, really hope so, because I really miss it. I want to go to more concerts, and I preferably want to go to more concerts before every band I like has actually stopped playing live, or, you know, living overall. Yes, it still annoys me that I never got to see Bowie live. But anyway. Wow, I just applied way too much of that stuff. Just going over it with my powder brush to tone it down, hopefully. Then on to blush, I'm going for this very pale shade. I sort of got a little carried away with my blush. Not with my blush, with my bronzer, yeah. So I'm using this shade because even if I would just rub the entire pen over my face, it still would not be overbearing on me. Priorities and all. Basically, let's just keep this part foolproof. Then it's a very soft highlighter. Oh, by the way, my entire point with this all is not that you like have to have role models that look like you or whatever. Just, you know, that I do notice that, like, as a child, when you don't think about it, it does seem to go that way. Then onto mascara real quick. I actually thought I had a brown mascara, but apparently it didn't survive the latest purge. So I'm using black. Preferably not in my contact lens. Also, now that we talked about cartoons anyway, who was your first cartoon crush? Tell me. Mine was Leonardo. Wait, wanted to curl my eyelashes. Mine was Leonardo. From the Ninja Turtles. The gritty 90s version of the Ninja Turtles, wherein Shredder was absolutely terrifying. And the Turtles, for some reason, didn't have pupils. They just had these complete wide-out eyes. in that series. I really like Leonardo. I like his personality, okay? Okay, anyway, I feel like we're there in terms of makeup. Almost at least. I'm just gonna apply some lipstick and we're done. And we're left with the final results. I actually really like how the eyebrow product turned out. I just don't like that it's not exactly the right color for me. I can get away with it, I think, because I have roots showing very slightly. Or maybe just because my bangs are greasy and that's why they're a bit darker. I really need to wash them. I'm going to do it this evening. Anyway. But yeah, point being, all the products I use are below the video in a list as always, in case you want to know. Other than that, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please click the like button, it would really help me out. And if you want to see more of my videos, I actually do mostly makeup tutorials. Well, 2 videos per week are makeup tutorials, 1 video per week is something else. But most of the makeup tutorials are actually, you know, more complicated than this. So yeah, if you want to see all of that, please subscribe. And other than that, for today, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful day and I hope to see you next time. Bye!